1990 season. Atlanta comes in 1-1, Dan. San Francisco 2-0, but both teams bothered by injuries early on.
The big question for the Falcons is the health of their secondary. Their two starting cornerbacks, Charles Dimry and Deion Sanders, haven't practiced in 2 weeks. We watched them just prior to kickoff today, and there's Sanders running around on the field, not looking real sharp, but I got to believe he's playing a little bit of possum with the 49ers.
What about the 49er injury with John Taylor?
Well, the 49ers will replace John Taylor with Mike Sherrard, and Sherrard should have an outstanding afternoon. He could surprise some people.
Atlanta comes in having lost 11 in a row on the road. They're facing a 49er team, obviously the defending world champions. How does Atlanta win this?
They have to play perfect football. They can't have the mistakes, the penalties, or the unnecessary roughness that has bothered Jerry Glanville's teams forever, it seems like.
Atlanta 1-1. They lost to Detroit last week. The 49ers, of course, won both their games, winning on Monday night against New Orleans and then defeating Washington last week. Welcome those of you in Atlanta on WAGA TV. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Dan Fouts. You've been watching the Minnesota-Chicago game that just ended. We're about to kick off, and San Francisco lost the toss to the Falcons, so Mike Kofer will be the one to kick off. Keith Jones is the middle of 3 men deep. And Gene Lang is back there with him. 49ers with an unusual kickoff formation. They've got 10 men lined up on the right side of Kofer. There you see them on the far side of the infield. Of course, baseball still being played here at Candlestick by the Giants. And somewhat anticlimactically, the ball rolls off the tee.
Yeah, everybody's trying to find out what are the 49ers up to with this this very strange formation on the kickoff. They're going to try an onside kick, and then the ball falls off the tee, so we're going to have to wait a little bit.
What are they up to?
We'll soon find out. There they shift back to a normal deal.
And the Falcons adjust at the other end of the field. Here's Kofer's kick. Keith Jones will grab this at the 10-yard line. Lots of room. Hauled down at the 42. Darryl Pollard made the tackle, number 26, a 32-yard kickoff return. And here is 25-year-old Chris Miller, the starting quarterback. Last-minute instructions from Jerry Glanville, and offensively, Miller will be joined up front by Mike Ken, John Scully, Jamie Dukes, Bill Frelick, John Hunter, though Chris Hinton will play half the game, and Gary Wilkins, the tight end. In the backfield, Broussard, the rookie, is the running back. Keith Jones, the fullback. Andre Rison and Sean Collins start at wide receivers. Michael Haynes, injured, did not make the trip for the Falcons. And they open in the red gun formation, the run and shoot, 4 wide receivers in. Pressure from Charles Haley. Miller rolls out of the pocket and goes deep, incomplete. Defensively for San Francisco, it looks this way. Pierce Holt, Jim Burt, and Kevin Fagan up front. Haley, Matt Millen. Keith DeLong gets a start for Mike Walters. First start ever for the #1 draft choice from a year ago, and he's joined by Romanowski. And in the defensive secondary, Pollard, Don Griffin, Ronnie Lott, and Chet Brooks. Ronnie Lott, bit of bad blood between this All-Pro and Sean Collins, particularly, of the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah. Second down and 10. Again, the 4 wide receivers are in. And Miller under center. Angle drop to his left, pumps, and then goes deep. And has a receiver. Is the ball trapped or caught? It is caught at the 24-yard line. Floyd Dixon. And Miller injured after he let the ball go.
What happened to Miller is the ball and his arm were hit at the same time as he let this one go. He gets shaken up here by, looks like Charles Haley from the outside. Now this ball is just quacking down the middle. Sometimes you just get lucky, and that's a case of pure luck that time as Dixon followed the flight of that duck and got under it, made the grab.
I find perfect symmetry in a former Oregon Duck, you, talking about another former Oregon Duck, him, throwing a ball that quacked. 34-yard catch.
Pure coincidence.
First and 10. Broussard. Nice run inside the 20 near the 18-yard line. Tackle made by Kevin Fagan.
This is exactly the kind of start that the Falcons need to put the pressure on the 49ers right now, show the 49ers that they can be successful with this red gun offense. My question now, though, Chris Miller got hit on the very first play, and then on that pass down to Dixon, he got hit again, and he's still feeling the effects of that.
Sean Collins goes wide to the left side. Stacy Bailey is split wide right. Rison is one of the inside men, and Dixon, they are to the right side. And off Broussard, Michael Carter, who is seeing action today for the first time in a while. He did play 15 plays last week, but he has been injured since midway through last season.
And what George Seifert wants out of Michael Carter today is to play about 4 or 5 plays in succession, and then tell the coach if he's a little bit winded, come on out of the game. But don't stay out of the game so long that you lose touch with the ball game. Stay in it mentally. But what a luxury that Seifert has at his nose tackle with Carter, Smerlis, and Bird, about 9 Pro Bowls between them.
Now Keith Jones comes into the backfield on 3rd down. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. Miller on receiver. Keith Jones, it's incomplete. A flag is down. On the near side of the 20-yard line. Referee today is Jerry Seaman, who next year takes Art McNally's place as director of officials for the NFL. Motion. Atlanta.
Now, you know they'll refuse this one, bringing up a field goal try for Atlanta, but 49ers have put good pressure so far on each of Miller's 3 attempts.
Illegal motion, number 79 offense, penalty decline, 4th down.
A motion call on Bill Fralick, and that will bring on Greg Davis to try the field goal. Davis is 4 of 4 through 2 games this year. And this will be a 37-yard field goal. Scott Fulhaig, the punter, is the holder, and Guy Bingham snaps the ball back. Perfect. So a 34-yard pass to Floyd Dixon is the highlight of the opening drive of the ball game, culminated in Greg Davis's 37-yard field goal, and Atlanta off to an early lead of 3-0.
That wasn't an easy kick for Davis either, kicking right from the shortstop part of the infield here in Candlestick. And this field here is so hard that it's very easy for players to slip because their cleats don't dig down enough into that hard surface there. See, it covers most of half of the field, and that's why the 49ers chose to kick off in the other direction, so that their offense, when they're in the red zone, they have good footing.
Davis did manage to get his 5th consecutive field goal, however. The drive, 37 yards in 6 plays after the fine kickoff return by Keith Jones. It took just less than 3 minutes, and Atlanta has drawn first blood with a 3-0 edge. George Seifert 14-2 in regular season last year in his first year as head coach. And Jim Burt and Pierce Holt, Matt Millen joins them defensively on the sideline. Dexter Carter and Spencer Tillman are the 2 deep men for the 49ers, and Davis will kick off. 3-0 Atlanta. They thrashed Houston 47-27 in the opener. They lost to Detroit in the Silverdome last week. San Francisco won that heart-stopper against New Orleans in the opening Monday night game, and then dominated the Redskins last week, winning 26-13. That's a short kick to Dexter Carter, the #1 draft choice out of Florida State. Spins out of the tackle and is knocked out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Tackle is made by Ken Tippins, number 52. A 20-yard return. Here is Joe Montana, who last week passed John Brody to become the all-time yardage passer in San Francisco 49er history. Bubba Paris, McIntyre, Sapolu, Harris Barton, and Steve Wallace joined Brent Jones up front. And Roger Craig and Tom Rathman are joined by Jerry Rice and Mike Sherrard. Quite a story. First start in a regular season game since 1986. John Taylor will not play today with a bruised lower back. Roger Craig bounces off the tackle and is cut down at the 29-yard line. Tackle made by Jesse Tuggle, number 58. And defensively for Atlanta, very aggressive defense. Gan Torrey Epps, the nose tackle. Tony Casillas has not been activated. and Tim Green up front. The linebackers, Michael Reed. We'll see a lot of Andre Bruce in that spot. Tuggle, John Rady, and Marcus Cotton. And here's where the problems are. Injuries to Dimry and Sanders. We'll watch them and see how well they can go. Scott Case and Brian Jordan also back there. Backs are split. Jerry Rice starts in motion. Sweep coming to the near side. Roger Craig. Excellent pursuit. And a flag comes down. John Rady with the tackle at the play stands.
This will be against John Rady, number 59, and this really is what we talked about at the beginning of the game. Is mistakes, penalties.
Face mask, 5-yard penalty. Number 59 defense, still second down.
And just crucial mistakes at crucial times. Here he is, number 59. Watch him reach out. This is a 5-yarder. Just barely gets a ring finger, and now he gets both hands on it. That should be 15 yards. You know, if it's just an incidental thing, I could see it with one hand, but he reached out there, got the right hand up there for good measure. Got a break there.
Second down and 8 officially after the penalty. One back set, 2 tight ends. Atlanta showing a blitz look. Roger Craig skirts to the outside and is hauled down as he gets near first down yardage at the 41-yard line. Scott Case made the tackle, number 25.
Jerry Glanville really likes to play games with his defense and matching up against his opponent's offense. The chess game type of deal. So far, he has put real good pressure on the 49ers, but the 49ers have countered with 3 straight running plays. So, and they've been 3 running plays that have gone to the outside. So the 49ers obviously are expecting blitz up the middle. They're trying to get the ball outside to Roger Craig.
One defensive change for Atlanta, Dan. Marcus Cotton is not playing right now, and Ken Tippins is in at linebacker. See if there's an injury associated with that. Here's Craig out of the backfield. Roger Craig from Joe Montana. A flying tackle by Scott Case, number 25. Case, the longtime cornerback for this team, has now moved to free safety. Told you he made some equipment adjustments back there.
Well, you check out that first of all, he's got the big shoulder pads on. He's got a couple of elbow pads, but he also has that neck roll that gives me the indication that he is responsible for making a lot of tackles now. As a cornerback, he said he never had to worry about wearing a lot of pads. He never had to make any tackles, but you can see he can tackle very well as he stopped Craig that time.
Second down and 6. Double tight end set. Wesley Walls is in. He's in motion. Here's Montana's slant pattern. Deion Sanders. And boy, for that much, Gerard was open on the slant pattern, and Sanders knocked it away.
Somebody knocked this at the line of scrimmage, just tipped it. Here's Gerard getting off inside against Sanders. You got to use a couple of moves. Gets off very cleanly, but the ball had been deflected at the line of scrimmage. You see it's coming in late. That's not a normal Montana pass. Sanders was as surprised as anybody that he had a shot at the interception.
That brings up a third down. 3-0. Atlanta leads it. 3rd and 6. Big split in the backfield behind Montana, and Rice starts in motion. The sweep with Harris Barton out leading the way, and what a block by him. What a tackle. Helmet high hit by the Falcons. Jesse Tuggle, number 58, on Roger Craig, and that is short of the first down.
Well, Harris Barton is the right guard, and Craig gets right out behind him in this back pocket, but number 58 is the guy to watch on this play. There he is mirroring Barton, and as Craig turns it up, Jesse Tuggle turns it on, and Scott Case comes and cleans him up. That's why he's wearing that neck roll.
That's right. Barry Helton is on to punt, and Andre Rison is back to return the kick. This is because of the Deion Sanders injury. They come after it, and it's deflected. Now Rison lets it roll, and it rolls inside the 10 and down to the 8. A 44-yard punt. 3-0 Atlanta on the strength of a 37-yard field goal by Greg Davis. And let's get you up to date now. Kevin Butler with a 52-yard field goal, 4 seconds to go. And Chicago stays unbeaten, and Kansas City knocks off Green Bay by 14. The Giants look good today in defeating Miami 20-3. They have an unblemished record. Washington leading Dallas 19-6. Mark Rippon out of that game with an injury. New Orleans defeats Phoenix 28-7. And Cincinnati rolled over New England 41-7. From the 9, 1st and 10. Backs in the eye. Broussard And he is out near the 13-yard line. Of course, Atlanta will run that red gun. It's the run and shoot, but they also do go back with a two-back offense.
Well, a lot of it has to do with field position. You notice on their first drive, they started up around the 40-yard line, came right out in the spread in the red gun. Now they're backed up. Glanville wants to be a little more conservative, a little more careful with the ball. Plus, he feels very comfortable running the ball with their two-back set.
Now Chris Miller has the two-back split behind him. Jones and Steve Broussard, #1 pick out of Washington State. 5-step drop into the flat for Broussard. Got a blocker in front. He spilled at the 15-yard line. Matt Millen out on the obvious passing situation now. Number 54. Keith DeLong and Ronnie Lott making that last tackle. There's Jim Fonhorst also in there, number 55. Fonhorst dropped in the cut down to 47 and then re-signed in the wake of Michael Walters' injury.
Well, Fonhorst is a smart guy. He knows there are a lot of injuries can happen during the course of the season. After he was released by the 49ers, he kept himself in tip-top shape, and he was ready to come back when the phone call came.
3rd down. Tracy Johnson in as a blocking back. Miller drills it. Man open. Andre Rison. Trapped. Hit the ground right in front of Andre Rison. That'll be a punt coming from the Atlanta Falcons.
49ers are probably the best team at disguising their defenses in the secondary, and Chris Miller is really going to get a lesson today because so much of what Atlanta wants to do with their red gun offense is adjust their patterns on the run.
Don Griffin is back to return punts. It's a job he held a couple of years ago. John Taylor normally fills this spot for the 49ers, but as we've told you, he is not dressed today. Not on injured reserve, simply inactive with an injury. Nice high punt by Fulhay. Returnable for Griffin from the 45. Gets by John Rady and is down the 48-yard line. A 40-yard punt, 3 on the return, and again, San Francisco with good field position now. Midway through quarter number 3, the only score thus far, a 37-yard field goal by Greg Davis on the opening drive of the ball. Speaking of guys with equipment, Joe Montana told us before the game, I've got a little bit of everything on.
You know, he's been beat up pretty good this, not only last 2 games, but in preseason. The Chargers, the Raiders, Seahawks got after him pretty good. So he's wearing extra pads today. He said he's got the big shoulder pads on and the rib pads, and probably wouldn't be surprised if he gets a couple of arm pads, but he's expecting a rough one.
From the 47, Roger Craig, Steve Wallace out in front. And a nice defensive job by the Falcons, but Craig does cross midfield. Brian Jordan and John Rady with the tackle. Washington wins by 2. There's Rady, who's from Boise State. He led the parade of Atlanta Falcons with tickets acquired for the game with 68.
There's some frequent flyer miles coming down from Idaho, too. Wonder if he gets credit for all that.
I doubt it. 2nd down and 6. Back split. 3-0. Here's Montana back to throw. Has to dump it off to Tom Rathman in the face of pressure.
And when the pressure comes against Montana today, it'll be most of the time from the linebacker. Here's Michael Reed, number 95. Joe steps up in the pocket, but Reed gets inside Bubba Paris and knocks the $4 million man down on his wallet.
Michael Reed comes to the near side. Now Sanders and Rice. Deion Sanders up as though he's going to play bump and run. We'll see. Now he backs away. Mike Wilson goes in motion. Pass right side for Wilson, incomplete. 49ers will have to punt. Montana 1 for 4 start this afternoon. And Barry Hilton comes on to punt. Both teams with new punt returners today. Deion Sanders not doing that task because of his hyperextended knee, and Andre Rison goes back again. Barry Hilton back to punt. Here is Helton's punt, and we welcome those of you who've been watching the Dallas-Washington game. This punt goes into the end zone, comes back to the 20 for a touchback. Atlanta will have it, a 48-yard punt. The final, Washington hangs on to defeat Dallas 19-15. Here, Atlanta's 37-yard field goal from Greg Davis at the end of the opening drive of the ball game has given the Falcons a 3-0 edge. 49ers have crossed midfield once, but they had to punt twice thus far, and we have a 3-0 ball game with 6:08 to go, first quarter.
Very conservative plans for both offenses so far. The one big play for the Falcons came on a deflected pass that Floyd Dixon chased down over the middle, and Montana is off to a 1-for-4 start himself for only 4 yards. So we'll see if they open it up a little bit.
Michael Carter back in at nose tackle for the 49ers again on this series. Miller, Broussard. He fights out near the 24. Joe Montana checking with the press box about what has not gone right thus far.
What they've tried to do is they've been anticipating blitzes up the middle, so they have run the ball outside, but they're not quite willing just yet to throw the ball. I mean, if you've got two cornerbacks out there, Dimry with a bad hip and Deion Sanders with a bad knee, man, I would think it's time to go up top and see if Jerry Rice can get behind one of them.
Mike Holmgren blocked from view a bit by that crossbar. He is the offensive coordinator. Now, Miller drops back, pumps once, twice, 3 times, and finds Andre Rison, who drops it. It'll be third down.
This ball came in a little bit high to Rison, but he knew he had Keena Turner in coverage here. Number 58 is Turner. He's going to drop off into the zone. It takes a while for Miller to find Rison, but he does. Look how Rison's eyes come off the ball, trying to check out where Turner was. He knew he had some running room.
In the National League, Pittsburgh defeats New York, or rather St. Louis, but New York is winning as well. Phillies and Montreal are scoreless, and Boston trailing in the lead. But so is Toronto. Who wants to win the American League East? 3rd and 5. Right side, nice catch this time. Catch is made by Stacey Bailey, known throughout the years for his good hands. And that's a gain of 12 and a first down.
Watch the timing on this play. Miller just takes 3 steps and fires it to the outside. He recognizes a man coverage, and he throws a perfect strike. Davis way off Bailey.
First and 10. Atlanta, they lead it 3-0. With just under 5 minutes to go, first quarter of play. Backs in the eye this time. Broussard spilled near the 38-yard line. Bob McKittrick, the offensive line coach.
I think everybody knows the 49ers script their first series of plays, about 15 plays. And what they want to do is give a different look, a different formation, a different type of movement each time. And then they'll come over to the sidelines and they'll say, okay, now when we get in this formation, we move this guy out of the backfield. This is Atlanta's reaction to it. Now when they come back on the field, they've got a better idea what they want to do.
Jim Burt injured on the last play and gets some help as he comes to the sideline. A 4-man down front now for the 49ers on 2nd down and 8. Draw play. Whoops. It'll be 3rd and 9.
49ers are excellent against the draw, and when you're in this formation, it's about the only running play you can run. Miller has to go over to Broussard, but there's just no running lane at all. Good job up front by the 49ers.
And officially that brings up a 3rd and 10, 3-0 Atlanta leading with 3:25 to go in quarter number 1. Good to see. Third and 10. Play was whistled dead and now flags come. That's maybe a delay of game call.
Think so. Came from a long way away.
Delay of game. offense.
That brings up a 3rd and 15.
This is what Glanville hates to see with his ball club, these penalties. Although there are certain situations where he will condone them. Not sure that was one of those situations, though.
No. Haley coming at Miller. Haley has Miller. Second sack of the season for Charles Haley. 4th down, Atlanta.
Well, Haley's been coming close, and finally he goes through 2 guys to get him. Number 94 from the outside here is Charles Haley, working against Mike Ken. And also Broussard tries to pick him up, but that's too much speed for the Falcons. First sack of the day for the 49ers, and just their 2nd sack of the year.
Yeah, that's right. Only 1 sack in the first 2 games. Now Scott Fulhag will kick it away to Don Griffin. Nice high punt. Griffin way back, bobbles it, then grabs it. And retreats inside the 20, is down at the 18-yard line. And a flag is down back at the 36-yard line of the Atlanta Falcons. They'll have to do it again.
Boy, you talk about a crucial mistake. This is a 55-yard punt for the Falcons, and it's going to come back. Falcon defense had a chance to pin the 49ers inside the 20-yard line. And again, another one of those mistakes. But you have this very often in a team that is just learning how to play together. And there's a lot of coordination that goes into it.
Ineligible downfield, number 43 offense, still 4th down.
That is the 3rd accepted penalty against Atlanta in the ball game. As Jerry said, we don't accept penalties on 3rd down or inside 2 minutes. And you said, well, does that mean you accept others?
He said no, but.
No, but.
Yes.
No, comma, but, parenthesis, exclamation
yeah.
point. That wiped out a 55-yard punt by Fulhag. We'll see how costly this is. This one is not as high nor as long. And Don Griffin comes left. So it's the 37-yard line instead of the 18-yard line. It's a 19-yard difference, a 46-yard punt, and 4 on the return. John Rady made the tackle. 2 minutes to go, quarter number 1. Atlanta holds on to a 3-0 lead on a 37-yard Greg Davis field goal. Atlanta on top 3-0 on the strength of a Greg Davis field goal from 37 yards out. You said at the outset, Dan Fouts, that you thought Atlanta needed to get on top early and maintain a tempo in the game. How are they doing?
Well, they've done that, but they've also made those mistakes that have plagued them, and they killed them last week against Detroit. What I'm waiting to see is when will the 49ers go after these 2 cornerbacks that got injuries.
Surprised they haven't attacked Deion Sanders yet, nor Charles Dimry. It's 1st down and 10 right now. Whoops, penalty. Charles Haley on the sideline. We have another.
Prior to the snap, number 77 offense, still 1st down.
That's Bubba Paris.
Yeah, it's tough for Bubba to hide when he moves before the snap.
He's going up against Tim Green today. Tim Green gives away 100 pounds. Green at defensive end weighs 240 pounds. And he told us last night, I think Bubba will check in around 340.
Well, not all precincts have reported yet on Bubba's weight.
There's some area codes that are having technical difficulties. Roger Craig out of the backfield. Blitz. Here comes Tuggle. They beat it across the middle. Jerry Rice is hauled down at the 37-yard line. Tackle made by Charles Dimry.
When you go up against a team that plays a lot of man-to-man, as an offense, your receivers are going to be effective running crossing patterns. Corners don't like to be inside and having to guard these guys running away from them. This is just about a 3 or 4 yard gain, but what it does is it gets the 49ers a chance to see how the coverage is going to be as they run more crossing, more type of pick patterns.
Jerry Rice said he thought he was going to have to use a double move off the line. He's being jammed at the line right now. Here's Montana. Looks deep into the middle. There's Jerry Rice. Is it a catch and a fumble? No. Incomplete pass. Scott Case made the pop on Jerry Rice.
But the guy that made the play that the crowd loves so much is that Joe Montana went over and tackled Deion Sanders at the end of this thing. I think we also have a penalty down. Penalty flag down. We're going to have to review this. That appeared to be a catch and a fumble after the big hit by Case on Rice.
Well, this has always been one of the leading convention centers in America, so we'll have one here.
Let's take a look at it. All the time in the world for Montana. Watch the big hit, though. There's the catch. There's the hit. That's a fumble. And Sanders has it.
Field ruled incomplete pass. I had a personal foul kicking number 77 offense.
That's Bubba Paris again.
Now, the first part of that message was that the official on the field signaled that it was incomplete. We'll take a look at Bubba's kicking form here as he just overpowers. Now that should be a penalty there. A cheap shot on Tim Green after he's on the ground. Not sure where the kick came in. We see the flag, though.
Kicking number 77 offense. Still second down. The play was ruled incomplete.
It'll be second down. Tim Green said his rookie year they were playing the 49ers, and he was at defensive end. He was matched against Bubba Paris. He got on the plane to go home, and all of a sudden he realized he had a long scratch from just below his ear across his cheek down his neck. And his teammates came up and said, well, that's from Bubba with love.
And I'm sure that when Tim Green gets in the shower after this ball game and he turns his back on a couple of his teammates, they may see a huge welt where that 300+ pounds came down on him. Interesting play. That appeared to me, at least from this angle, that it was a completed catch. But Scott Case did deliver a message to all 49ers on those crossing routes.
Now it's Sanders and Rice, the feature matchup on the near side on second down and 24. Montana on timing. Jerry Rice out to the, or rather, Mike Sherrard after the 39-yard line. What a story for Mark Sherrard. #1 draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys in '85. Broke his leg the summer of '87. Was out all of that year. Re-broke the same leg a year later. Thought his career was over. He was placed on Plan B by the Cowboys. John McVay was telling us yesterday that Sherrard, when they made the deal here, understood that he would be babied, that he would be nurtured during another season of recovery, and that was all of last year, and then he got into the playoffs. Final 30 seconds of quarter #1. 3rd and 6. Rice is open.
Well, it didn't take Montana long to go deep. A couple of crossing patterns here and there, but you know that Joe was thinking the back of his mind once he sees Rice single covered on the outside, he's going to go bombs away.
A 42-yard pass and catch on the final play of the first quarter. That's the end of the quarter with our score. Atlanta 3, the 49ers nothing, but the 49ers are threatening. Lead as we start the second quarter, but Joe Montana just took up with Jerry Rice, 42 yards.
And it all starts with great pass protection. Last week, no sacks for Montana against the Redskins. And in this picture, there's nobody within 5 yards of Joe. He has all day to throw a perfect strike. At the end of this play, watch how Rice uses his leaping ability to ensure the catch.
Beat Charles Dimry on that pattern down the right sideline. Montana was sacked 6 times in the Monday night game against the New Orleans Saints. None last week against the Redskins, and none thus far today.
The biggest problem they had in New Orleans was the noise. Their offensive line couldn't hear the signals, so they couldn't audible much out of bad plays. Plus, their offensive line was kind of distracted, especially Steve Wallace, by the noise.
Mike Wilson is into the wide receiver. He's top of the screen right now. And Rice, right side. And off to Roger Craig. Fumble. Atlanta's football. Inside the 5, near the 3. Jesse Tuggle comes up with it.
How many times do you see a running back make a great play and then at the end of it get hit from the blind side and lose the ball? There's the great play, eluding Scott Case, and then the hit from Ken Tippins and the recovery by Jesse Tuggle.
Time has been called. We'll be right back.
Craig gets the old 1-2 here low from Brian Jordan, and then Tippins with the elbow on the ball, and the Falcons have the ball.
From their own 3, Miller with a play fake. Settles for a short pass at the 19, and it's caught by James Milling, number 84, and that's a gain out to the 19 after a pickup at 16. And there's a flag down. Wipe it out, bring it back. A flag against Atlanta. That is their 4th penalty of the first half.
They're really shooting themselves in the foot with these penalties.
Not the first time.
Holding, number 87 offense, still first down.
But if you're going to have a holding penalty or something, you might as well have it on the 1 or 2 yard line. They're only going to lose a half a yard or so.
It does wind up or wipe out a 16-yard gain for Jerry Glanville's team. Penalty on Gary Wilkins, the tight end.
Had a pretty good indication on that play of Miller's mobility and his athleticism, throwing the ball going to his left.
First down and 11. Tina Turner is in for the 49ers, and he's coming in the blitz. Miller, here's Turner. Out of the back of the end zone, that's a safety. That's 2 points and a safety. And we have a giant Dodgers score, 3-2.
We're still in the 2nd inning. But Miller, he really has no place to go with this, and really this turns out to be a better play than just forcing it down the field where it could have been an interception. There he is, clearly out of the back of the end zone. Continue the play on. The Falcons did fumble, and the 49ers recovered in the end zone, but this was already signaled a safety. 2 points for San Francisco.
Once he ran out of the end zone, that play was over. And that results in a free kick now for the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, let's go back to the play before that. Miller throws a 18-yard completion or so. It gets called back for holding. So again, a critical penalty hurts the Falcons.
And Keena Turner will get credit for a sack on that play. Now, following a safety, of course, a free kick from the 20-yard line. In the meantime, time has been called. The 49ers, Keena Turner forces Miller out of the end zone for a safety. Chris Miller facing the blitz of Keena Turner out of the back of the end zone. And that results in a safety. It's 3-2 Atlanta. And now Scott Fulhag will punt the free kick. Spencer Tillman is the deep man back with Don Griffin, and they wait at the 25-yard line. This will be Griffin at the 29. Out to the 43-yard line. Well, San Francisco was moving on its last possession. The big play, the 42-yard pass to Jerry Rice. But then inside the 10, Roger Craig with the fumble recovered by Jesse Tuggle. Now Montana comes back out after a 15-yard return. In the meantime, with 14:02 to go first half, time has been called. Atlanta with a 1-point lead. You can see the sellout crowd on this Sunsplash Sunday. Yeah, that too. At any rate, 3-2 Atlanta. Got to get too alliterative. And here is Montana sacked. Michael Reed got him at the 34-yard line.
Michael Reed is going to put the pressure on Montana, but his first choice is taken away here. Now he's got to come looking for his secondary receiver. Good pressure on that left side as it appears that the Falcons are bringing 2 guys on that left corner working against Bubba Paris.
That's a loss of 10. It's second down and 20 from the 34. Back split, Rathman and Craig. Montana with a straight drop back into the flat. Caught by Mike Sherrard. And he is out of bounds, weaving his way up to the 46-yard line. Jesse Tuggle, number 58, makes the tackle. Mike is playing in the place of John Taylor today. Great hands. He's not nearly as good a runner after he makes the catch.
But you couldn't tell by that play. He was doing his John Taylor imitation. His teammates really appreciate the effort that he has made to get back into shape to play football. He is a talented guy, high pick from the Cowboys, and he's just getting back to feeling comfortable playing football again.
Jerry Rice said the confidence that Sherrard has shown this year over a year ago is amazing. Here's Montana going deep and overthrowing Jerry Rice at the 25-yard line. Had to get rid of it quickly. And that brings up another 4th down.
The one thing the Falcons do to an offense is get them out of sync. And if you've ever watched the 49ers, as everybody has, they are always in sync, it appears. Bang, bang, they get the ball off to the receivers. They always seem to be in control. But the Falcons, they do so many blitzing and so many plays where they're playing man-to-man coverage that it's very difficult to get into sync. And right now, the Falcons are having their way with it.
Barry Helton on the punt. And Andre Rison waits at the 15. A flag is down. Rison lets it go. How about this punt by Helton down at the 1.5. There is a penalty back at the 36, and Jerry Seaman is going to bring it back. Procedure call against the world champions.
Illegal formation. Number 85 did not report as an ineligible receiver. 4th down.
That's one of those plays where you have a player playing out of position. Mike Wilson is normally a receiver. He's number 85, and because he's wearing 85, he has to play a receiver position unless he reports to the official that he is now playing a tackle or an interior position, and he didn't do it that time. Illegal procedure.
Mike Wilson, a one-time 10th round draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys, placed on waivers, and all he's done is last for better than 10 years in the National Football League.
And a big part of that 10 years has been on special teams. That's an unusual mistake for Mike Wilson.
So wipe out another superb punt by Barry Helton, and he'll have to do it again. Chuck Thomas, the center. This one much shorter, and Rison at the 15. Nobody down there to help him, but Bill Romanowski is the first man there. A 2-yard return of a 44-yard punt. Romanowski, who is now a starter at linebacker, also a standout on special teams. 12:52 to go, first half. Atlanta hangs on to a 1-point edge, 3-2. Bring you up to date if you just joined us. Total yards thus far, 93 for the 49ers. 42 of those came on a pass catch by Jerry Rice, but that was followed by a fumble. The score for Atlanta, a 37-yard field goal. Keena Turner chased Chris Miller out of the end zone for the 49er safety, and Jim Burt is on the bench with a concussion suffered in the first quarter, though we are told he might be able to come back in the ball game. 12:52, Bill Romanowski out of Boston College. He's learned to surf now, living out on the West Coast, huh?
Well, that's what he does on his days off. In fact, he learned how to surf last year. Ricky Ellison took him out there, down there in Santa Cruz, gave him a big old board, said, "Follow me." And they get out there, and they're in 10-foot swells. Romanowski, let alone had never surfed. Here he is out there expecting some instruction. Not a word from Ricky Ellison, but he's now a surfing dude.
A surfing dude. First and 10, Miller. Broussard, good block on the left side. Broussard breaks tackles and is down at the 23-yard line. Chet Brooks, number 31, made the stop. Chet Brooks, who went back to Texas A&M and earned his degree in communication in the offseason. Said he also spent some time with Jeff Fuller, the former A&M teammate who suffered that career-ending injury a year ago.
And what that injury meant to Chet Brooks is that football, while you're playing it, is the ultimate. It can be over at any time, and he came to the realization that he had to get his priorities in line, and getting his degree was #1 step.
High formation. Backs behind Miller, and it's Broussard out near the 25. That's short of the first down. Will bring up a 3rd down and 2. On the Atlanta bench, one of the formerly great running backs in the NFL, William Andrews, who had a career-ending injury himself, but said before the game today that he's got all the feeling in his leg back now. He cut and run just like he used to. Weighs a little more.
He doesn't look like he's doing too much cutting and running, though. One thing, Vern, I'm going to tell him that you asked for that picture on the sidelines. He said he didn't want any picture of him below the shoulders, though.
William played at 197. He now weighs 245. He said, if you take a shot at me, keep it neck up. William, we lied. Red gun offense. Miller back with time. Goes deep, and it's caught. Here goes Sean Collins, and Ronnie Lott saves a touchdown. A 61-yard gain for the second-year man out of northern Arizona, Sean Collins.
Well, sometimes you get lucky, as we mentioned earlier. Here's Collins, number 85, against Eric Wright. And Eric Wright has this ball all the way, but Collins screens Wright off with his body just like a rebounder and gets lucky as the ball sticks in the cradle of his elbow, and Ronnie Lott makes the saving touchdown.
61-yard gain.
Two surprise people on that play, Eric Wright and Sean Collins. Well, maybe Chris Miller, too.
At the 14, backs in the eye again. First down. Broussard. Flag is down. They'll bring this one back. And yet once again, a self-destruct button for the Atlanta Falcons. That is their 6th penalty already in the game.
And they still lead, so.
Holding, number 71 offense, still first down.
Chris Hinton told us before the game that he'll play the second and fourth quarters. But it appears that that calf might be giving him some problem as he goes to the sidelines.
That is the 5th penalty against Atlanta. A correction. 5 for 27 yards. And it brings up a first and 20 now from the 24. Falcons lead at 3-2. Brett Smerlis in at nose tackle now, number 76. Acquired from Buffalo in the offseason. Miller. Pass is caught. Keena Turner makes the tackle on Floyd Dixon, number 86. You go back to that 61-yard pass play. Sean Collins catching it, Ronnie Lott tackling. How ironic, because Ronnie Lott and Sean Collins got into it verbally as well as physically in last year's series.
Well, Collins and Lott, they took exception to each other the way they were playing in the game last year here at Candlestick. Collins accused Lott of being a headhunter, and Ronnie Lott says, well, if that's what you want me to be, for you, Sean Collins, I will be. I've got a choice spot on my hit list for you, he said.
Second down and 19. 3-2, Atlanta leads. 3-2. Blitz coming by the 49ers. High snap, bobbled by Miller. And he falls on it at the 29-yard line.
Well, you wonder if Jamie Dukes, the center, saw Keena Turner almost jump off sides there, because he was very quick with this ball and very, very high. Miller, with good athletic ability, jumps high in there. Here's number 58, Turner, gets back on sides, but you know that Duke saw that out of the periphery. That's a nice play by Miller, getting down and saving a possible disastrous play. Turnover.
3rd and 25.
I'll talk to you later.
And again, the 49ers look like they're coming. Nope, they're just sending 4. Miller down the middle. Tip, Rison incomplete. Double coverage. Ronnie Lott was back there, and so was Don Griffin. Ronnie Lott, who had maybe one of the best games of his career in that Monday night win over the New Orleans Saints.
Well, sooner or later, Ronnie Lott is going to put a hit on you. That time, good coverage by the 49ers. Griffin and Lott came over to add the exclamation point.
Now Greg Davis, perfect so far this year, will try his second field goal of the ball game. This will be from 46 yards out. Into the wind. And the wind holds it up. We're in the middle of the fourth. Atlanta leads 3-2. 49ers coming up. Pitch out, Roger Craig. And he's down at the 31-yard line. 3-2 is our score. 3-2. Greg Davis with a field goal from 37 yards out at the end of the opening drive of the game. And then in the second quarter, Chris Miller chased out of the end zone by Keena Turner, a safety, and that's where we stand right now with 8:24 to go, first half. Speaking of baseball scores, the Giants have scored the same number of points as the 49ers. They lead the Dodgers 2-0 in the second. Second down and 8. Craig out of the backfield. Hot receiver Brent Jones. Jones weaves his way out near the 50 and is down at the Atlanta 48. A gain of 20.
Well, this is an all-out blitz by the Falcons. The 49ers have nobody in the backfield, and Montana reads it right away. As you said, Vern, Tippins was coming. Nobody on the coverage for Jones. He makes Scott Case miss, picks up about another 12 yards.
Finally, Brian Jordan stopped on top of him. Brent Jones from Santa Clara. First down at the 48. Craig hit behind the line and dropped. Michael Reed got there. Just cut right through.
You know, the 49ers may be beating their heads against the wall trying to run against the Falcons. Bronco Hinnick, the long-time Charger, actually 49er equipment man, was with the Chargers back when I was playing.
See you revert.
He didn't know this technique, though. If he had only done that for our ball club, we might have won a few more games.
You think so?
Yeah,
that really helps.
Pretty good tailor job.
Yeah. Makes those arms look bigger.
I could have used it.
Second down and 13. Craig out of the backfield. Jerry Rice on the slant pattern in front of Dimry. Jerry Rice said yesterday, I think we can beat Charles Dimry on the slant pattern. And bingo. That's a gain of 12 for Rice.
But to get away from these defensive backs, you've got to use more than just pure speed. Watch Rice fake the outside move and then come underneath. Dimry is back on his heels. He releases Rice to the inside safeties, and that's an easy completion for Rice. You got to wonder just how healthy Dimry and Sanders are. Dimry did not look healthy at all on that play.
Neither Dimry nor Deion Sanders worked out at all this week. Third and a yard. Tom Rathman, that'll be a first down. 49ers at the 35, under the 6-minute mark in the first half. '49ers were inside the 10 earlier in this quarter, but Roger Craig fumbled. It was recovered at the 3-yard line.
That was just a short gain for Tom Rathman, but that's what his teammates would call a bonehead play. Not so much because it was stupid. That's his nickname, Bonehead. 49ers have some unusual nicknames for their teammates.
Some of which we can tell you. Craig on the sweep. Got down. And this aggressive Falcon defense flying to the ball. Mike Gann and Tim Green got there.
You know, Mike Holmgren is sticking to his guns and sticking to his game plan, trying to run all these sweeps against the inside pressure, but it appears that the Falcons are getting the better of it, at least against this running attack.
There's Mike Holmgren, who was offered a couple of jobs or explored the possibility of becoming a full-time or a head coach last year. And Eddie DeBartolo, the owner of the 49ers, said, I will pay you to stay here and pay you well. So he stayed. Montana, Brent Jones, little pick play. Tom Rathman got in the way of a defender, and Brent Jones picked it off.
Well, the 49ers don't like to call it pick plays,
of course
Vern,
not.
But here's Rathman. He's going to go down and clear out, and Jones will come and delay back out to the outside there. There's Rathman on the clear out, and that's a good pick play because he didn't have to pick anybody.
Right.
The zone coverage, Montana picked it apart. So difficult to play defense against Joe Montana. He can beat you if you play zone, and if you try and press him and play man-to-man, he's got Jerry Rice to go up the top with.
Backs are split on 3rd and 1. Jerry Rice in motion. Rathman surging over the right tackle spot. That should be enough for the first down. And we've got 4 minutes to go in the first half. 3-2 is our score. Atlanta leads it by 1. They will bring the chain out.
Rathman not happy with the mark there.
He didn't get a great spot, I don't think. Appeared he had the 24-yard line made. No, he's, well.
Yeah, that's a 2-finger one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you miss by that much, the referee holds up 2 fingers.
Didn't have to put the credit card down in there. Just a 2-finger.
It appears George Seifert going to go for it on 4th.
We're at Candlestick Park in San Francisco on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. 4th down and about 2 inches with 3:58 to go in the first half of play. 49ers trail, but they have the ball on 4th down at the Atlanta 25-yard line. From Lundquist and Dan Fouts with him. Playing directly behind Montana. Quarterback sneak, flags down. Whistle to play, dead.
This will be against the 49ers.
False start prior to the snap. Number 89 offense, still 4th down.
Oh boy. Wesley Walls, second-year man out of Mississippi.
Oh, he's trying to bury his head in the sand there too, wasn't he? After that, he knew he was offsides. Number 89 is on the right side. He just flinches right there, trying to protect that inside gap against that linebacker who's trying to shoot over there. But 49ers show they can shoot themselves in the foot as well. Crucial mistake there on 4th and 1.
That's the 4th penalty against San Francisco in the ball game, and instead of going for the first down now, Mike Kofer will try a field goal from 47 yards out. Kofer's 6 of 9 for the year, but he's hit his last 5 in a row. High snap. Perfect kick. A 2-out triple here in the 3rd. Gives San Francisco a 5-3 edge. And as you could tell from that shot of the flag, the wind has kicked up here at Candlestick. Deion Sanders is one of the 3 men who is back. Joined by Keith Jones and Gene Lang. There's Sanders. He's got it. Oh boy, and then a flag comes down at the 25-yard line. He was about 3 inches away from breaking that. Mike Kofer makes the tackle on the 35-yard kickoff return.
Again, Atlanta with a crucial mistake. Sanders certainly looks healthy with that run. He came real close to breaking out the backside of that one and going all the way.
Are all these penalties, Dan, just a case of a team adjusting to a coaching style and a staff, or is it a lack of discipline?
It can be a combination of both, because when you do have a new staff, especially on special teams, you got players that's their only chance of making the ball club. They're going to go out and try to do everything they can.
Holding number 89 receiving team during the return. First down.
Can't be. There is no 89 for the Falcons. 6 penalties for 37 yards now for Atlanta. 49ers with 4 for 30.
You know, the guy that did get the penalty, he's really happy that the official said number 89.
That's right.
You know, it wasn't me.
So they start this drive at their own 19-yard line. First and 10. Chris Miller 5 of 9 for 110 yards. Steve Broussard. Is that a loose ball?
Well, the referee coming in there sure seems like it is.
Yes, it is.
Got it.
Down by contact previously, consequently second down.
down by contact.
Well, this is a bad handoff to begin with. Broussard runs right where Miller opens up. Some mistake there. That ball is out. That's a fumble. But the official on the field ruled it down by contact.
Wow, that ball squirted out.
Clearly a fumble.
Plainly a fumble. So the whistle came into play, negating the turnover. 2nd down and 8. That ball clearly out before Broussard hit the deck. Miller, incomplete, almost picked off by Bill Romanowski. Tracy Johnson, the intended receiver.
Well, if you're Chris Miller, you're not feeling real comfortable and confident right now, because 2 plays in a row, your team almost turned the ball over. With the official on the field ruling that the ball was down by contact, the replay official up in the booth has nothing to say about it, because he cannot tell when the whistle was blown. Therefore, the Atlanta retains possession, but that was a bad call.
3rd and 8. 2:41 to go, first half. 4-man rush. Charles Haley. 2nd sack of the first half. And he gets a shoulder jolt from Ronnie Lott.
Well, on the safety before, Broussard could not pick up Tina Turner. This isn't Broussard, it's Tracy Johnson, number 43, and he can't handle Charles Haley. All pro. This is why. 3rd sack of the year for Charles Haley, 2nd today.
That brings on Scott Fulhag, and Don Griffin will wait for it near midfield. So the 49ers with a good chance to extend their lead. Nice punt. Griffin, 41-yard line of the 49ers. And he's down at the 43. Ken Tippins makes the tackle, a 49-yard Fulhag punt. But Charles Haley's 2nd sack of the afternoon has given the 49ers good field position. They're 57 yards away with 2:04 to play in the first half. Backer Michael Walter spending the day in civvies. You can see the cast on his left hand. Ring finger broken for the 2nd time. Surgery this week. Mike from the University of Oregon grew up in Eugene, where he was a schoolboy classmate of that man, Chris Miller.
Yeah, and they had another guy. They all went to Sheldon High School in Eugene by the name of Todd Christensen. So they had some pretty good ball players there at Sheldon High, Irish.
First down and 10. Montana looks deep, settles short. Tom Rathman at the 50-yard line. And that will stop the clock for the 2-minute warning with 1:58 to go in the first half. Marcus Cotton made the tackle. 5-3, 49ers lead. They're at midfield with 1:58 to go in the half. 1:58 to go in the first half, and a big test now for the Falcon defense. I don't know that there's anybody better at the 2-minute offense than Joe Montana.
I remember hearing John Madden talking about Montana, saying, well, he's good in the first quarter. He's good in 3rd down situations. He's good here. He's good everywhere, but this is really Montana time. 50 yards to go to get the 49ers some more points.
And thus far, in the 2-minute offense, the 49ers have had 2 opportunities, and they've gotten scores each time, albeit field goals rather than touchdowns. Blitz is coming. Montana goes on the near side to Roger Craig, who is going after a career record today, number of catches. Roger, if he gets 3 grabs of Montana passes today, will go beyond Walter Payton as the all-time receiving leader among running backs who played in the league.
And that 2-yard loss ties him with Walter Payton. Not exactly what he had in mind.
So the next catch will be his 493rd in a 49er uniform. 1:52 to go. 3rd down and 5. Montana pulls up. That ball is tipped and incomplete. Deion Sanders almost got there. It'll be 4th down. Well, having absolutely elevated Joe Montana to the heights of 2-minute offenses.
Well, that's what Atlanta will do to you defensively. They just throw your timing off completely. Montana is the all-time timing quarterback. He does it better than anybody else has, and his timing is way off. Not so much because of he's not playing well. It's just that his receivers aren't open when he wants them to be. And that's because Atlanta is doing a good job in the secondary. Those two cornerbacks that are supposed to be hurt, Dimry and Sanders, are doing a heck of a job.
Barry Hilton on to punt, and Andre Rison waits for it at the 15-yard line. They were coming, leaving Rison all by himself, but this a returnable ball, and you heard the pop as he was knocked out of bounds near the 29-yard line. 31-yard punt and 7 on the return by Andre Rison. Atlanta with all 3 timeouts left, 92 seconds to go in the first half. So defensively, certainly the Atlanta Falcon defense did its job.
It's hard for me to analyze this type of ball game, Vern, because a 5-3 thing is one of those defensive battles, and in San Diego we never had any. Our defensive battles were the 41-40.
42-37, yeah, exactly.
How many are left on base today?
3 thus far. The red gun offense of the Atlanta Falcons. They trail 5-3. Smurless, the nose tackle. 49ers bring 4 defensively. The pass out to Sean Collins, and Eric Wright knocks him down. See if Atlanta goes with the hurry-up offense. They will. They will not use one of those timeouts here.
We're going to have a stoppage of the clock because this is close enough to bring up a measurement.
That's a break for the Falcons. They can save the timeout.
Yeah, and they can get right on the line of scrimmage and snap the ball just as the officials restarts the clock. So this is a break.
Just short. Atlanta's score came on the opening drive of the ball game, a 37-yard field goal from Greg Davis. 49ers got on the scoreboard when Keena Turner forced Chris Miller out of the end zone for a safety, and then Michael Kofer's 47-yard field goal put the 49ers on top. That's why we have this unusual score of 5-3. .119 to go. And the clock resumes. Miller goes into the right flat. Stacy Bailey with another first down across the 50 to the 48. Darrell Pollard makes the tackle. And timeout has now been called by Atlanta, so they use one of their complement of 3. And there is a player injured for the Atlanta Falcons. That's John Hunter, the right tackle. Coming up at halftime, Greg and Terry with scores and highlights. They'll keep you up to date not only in the games that were completed earlier this afternoon, but those that are ongoing right now. Philadelphia and Los Angeles playing down the coast. Seattle and Denver still underway. And that's a minute and 2 seconds from right now. This is a 40-second timeout called by the Atlanta Falcons, but John Hunter's injury may extend that time.
This is a case of a player just hustling, trying to make a block. Number 68 is John Hunter. There he is, the right side of the screen, trying to get a block in there, and he trips over Dave Waymer, and boom, he lands on that left shoulder. That's a lot of weight, 300-pounder going down on that left shoulder.
John Hunter from Brigham Young University. So Chris Hinton will come back in. It'll be a first down Atlanta with 1:02 to go.
And that doesn't hurt Atlanta at all. You bring an all-pro player off the bench and Chris Hinton.
Hinton and Rison, of course, acquired in that blockbuster trade with Indianapolis that allowed the Colts to draft Jeff George with the #1 choice. Andre Rison said yesterday, be sure and send my thanks back to the folks in Indianapolis. Rison on the field now, lined up to the right side. 62 seconds to go before halftime. Miller with good blocking. Deep right side. Don Griffin was doing the defensive job on Andre Rison.
Again, we're in that type of a chess game where one team will have a successful play, come back, run it again, have a success, then the opponent will adjust. The 49ers gave up 2 short passes for good yardage to the Falcons. That time they took that away, forced Miller to go deep, had the coverage, brings up 2nd and 10.
57 seconds to go before halftime. Stunts by the 49er defense. Miller into double coverage, and it'll be picked up. David Waymer, the long-time interception leader of the New Orleans Saints, who was signed in Plan B by the 49ers. Dave Waymer gets the interception.
Yeah, this is a terrible decision by Miller because Waymer has this ball all the way. Great pressure there up front from Michael Carter, and Waymer just playing catch with Miller makes the grab for the interception. Now we'll see if Montana, he's got a minute less than he had last time to go down and get points for the 49ers.
But he does have all 3 of his timeouts, and the ball at the 25-yard line. Turnovers now even at 1-1. Roger Craig fumble equated by that pass interception. Here's the 3-step drop. Montana looks right, goes left, and finds Tom Rathman after the 32. Roland Mitchell, number 39, makes the tackle. And Montana calls time. So the 49ers have 2 left with 39 seconds to go, and Montana will come and chat with George Seifert. Joe, who's bought a new home out here.
Joe Montana bought what you might call one of those old fixer-uppers. Built in 1939.
Right.
It's in Atherton. He's going to move in about a year now, but he's doing some adding on, and it's got 2.5 acres or so. Nice wooded area, gated, the whole bit, swimming pool, tennis court. I said, well, geez, add her on her, Joe, you know, fixer-upper. How many square feet you got? It says 8,500.
I see.
I said, what could you possibly be adding on to it? 8,500. He says, well, you know, it doesn't really have a family room. I want to know the architect. The guy's probably long gone. It was built in 39, but you got 8,500 feet. You got to find one of those rooms to put a family in.
Backs are split on 2nd down and 3. Tim Green lined up at nose tackle this time. Montana goes to Rathman again, and Deion Sanders drives him out of bounds, but that stops the clock with 33 seconds to go. Well, not only has Joe bought the fixer-upper, but he's got an interesting neighbor just down the street.
Yeah, he just found out about 2 weeks ago that one of his neighbors is his old coach, Bill Walsh.
Is he happy or sad about that?
Well, he doesn't expect to see him out there mowing the lawn too often, but beautiful neighborhood there in Atherton.
Montana scrambles left. Boy, Mike Sherrard got loose down the left side and is out of bounds inside the Atlanta 40.
Well, that's what Joe Montana's all about. You give him time in the pocket, you let him move around and to the outside, and he's going to find the man. Sanders just drops the coverage on Sherrard as he goes into a zone. That's poor coverage by Deion Sanders, and Sherrard finds the open area, and of course Montana finds him.
That's a gain of 27, and the clock now shows 25 seconds to go. There is someone down at the 35-yard line, and the Falcons have called timeout.
That's really unfortunate for the Falcons. Of course, anytime you have an injury, it's unfortunate, but the player was so close to the field, it's Scott Case, that they had to use a timeout there. The clock had already been stopped. They have to burn one anyway. Fat chance, though, that they'll have any time left with just 25 seconds to go. Montana, you can bet for sure, will use all of it. But this is a case where the Falcons cannot afford any more injuries to their secondary. We've talked about their two cornerbacks, Dimmery and Sanders, but Brian Jordan came into the game with a bruised thigh. Case was the only healthy guy starting the game.
And now he has gone to the sideline, and a charge timeout to the Atlanta Falcons. Joe Montana and the 49ers with a first down at the 37. 25 seconds to go before halftime. 5-3, 49ers leading. Falcons look like they're blitzing. Here they come. Montana back. Hot receiver right side. Incomplete to Brent Jones.
Interesting how Glanville comes back with a blitz after getting burned on the play before playing that zone. He's had more success today disrupting Montana's timing than he has had at playing soft in zones and letting Joe pick him apart. This is a type of coaching game that Glanville really enjoys, where he matches wits against the top quarterback.
Yeah, I said yesterday it's a chess match. 22 seconds to go before halftime. No blitz this time, but good pressure. Montana steps up and finds Brent Jones at the 18-yard line. Timeout, 49ers with 14 seconds to go. Well, the man is not only the master of the 2-minute offense, he's the master of the 49-second offense.
And what he does so well is find the area in the pocket where he can get the ball off. He's uncanny at 34 years old to be able to move the way he does in such a small area quickly, get himself balanced, get himself righted, find the man down the field and deliver the ball. I just love to watch him play, and I've watched him for years now. There's no drop-off in his play. You kind of wonder when a guy is 34, you say, well, is he having trouble throwing this type of pass? Is his mobility going on him? There is nothing wrong with this guy.
And doesn't it seem like eons ago now in a couple of Super Bowls since there was the possibility Montana was going to be replaced at quarterback by Steve Young. That's all forgotten conversation. Harry Sidney's in the lineup now, number 24, behind Joe Montana. Left side, Raffman out of bounds to stop the clock with 8 seconds to go. Tackle made by Michael Reed, number 95. Greg and Terry coming up with scores and highlights on this third weekend of the 1990 season. They'll not only bring you up to date on what's going on right now in the NFL, but also give you highlights of the games that were completed earlier this afternoon.
49ers have 8 seconds to go, so you can expect obviously a quick pass here. But even if they don't complete it, with that short pass that Montana just completed, he has given his field goal kicker the opportunity to kick the ball from the grass and not the skin part of the infield.
Good point. Backs are split, 2 receivers to the left side. Montana, whoops, not anymore. With 3 seconds to go. Torrey Epps, the rookie nose tackle, got through, and now Mike Kofer will kick off the dirt.
What a big play for Torrey Epps. Number 74 is Epps. He's working against Sapolo. Now he's on a game where he comes over and he'll beat Bubba Parrish trying to get the big leg whip on him, but Bubba can't get that done, and he just spins Montana to the ground. That is a big, big play for Atlanta.
That's the first sack of the season for the young man from Memphis State, Torrey Epps. And now Mike Kofer will kick from the dirt portion of the infield.
And before he had basically a chip shot, but anytime you're trying to plant on that hard infield, anything can happen. And the other factor you have here in Candlestick is the swirling wind.
Barry Helton will hold. This will be a 42-yard kick by Kofer. He's hit from 47 earlier in the game. Blocked. Blocked in the middle of the line by the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons end the first half on an up note despite trailing 5-3. And there is a scramble to determine who recovered the football, but it's academic because the first half has ended.
It's our man Torrey Epps, number 74, back-to-back big plays.
With help from Rick Bryant, who was also there. That's the end of the first half with our score, the 49ers 5 and the Atlanta Falcons 3. Carter.